Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if it's your first time here, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you stay. I hope you stick around. Take a tour. You just might like it. Actually, I know you will. Okay guys, so in the last video, we were talking about dating and relationships in the spirit of Valentine's Day. So since it is still the month of love, I just thought we could just carry on the conversation. I liked where it was going, and I just thought I could just add a little bit more just to, yeah, like I said, just to carry on with what we were speaking about, continue with the conversation, just to make this more of just to bulk up this playlist, just to bulk up the topic. Okay, so last time we spoke about how to tell someone that you want to be romantically involved with that you have endometriosis. So basically how to break the news about your diagnosis. And that came with how to gauge emotional safety, just to see if the person that you want to tell or the person you plan on telling is actually worth all the trouble, just to see if the person is a safe space for you, if the person will hold space for you and will carry will carry whatever it is that you're sharing with dignity and respect, and will respect your boundaries and all of that. So I just thought it was really interesting, and that's a lot of things that I wish I knew when I had recently been diagnosed and I was like dating and all of that. So in today's video, we'll be talking about trauma dumping versus vulnerability. Okay, so there is a very thin line between trauma dumping, and most times when you're breaking this news to someone, be it a friend or a potential partner or whoever, it's very easy to just come in hot, thinking that you're doing the right thing, thinking, oh my god, this is really such a relief. I got to get that off my chest and all of that, not knowing that you could really be overwhelming someone, or you are not doing it in a way that they are comfortable with, or in a way that respects their own boundaries. You have yours and they have theirs, as everyone has a right to their own boundaries. So I will start with a common definition. You know, when I bring this bad boy out, when I bring out my girl, it's gonna be hot. We are talking about serious things. So I'm going to start with a common definition of what trauma dumping is and what vulnerability is, just so we are on the same page and everyone knows what's going on, and we are clear from the beginning, from the time the whistle is blown. So trauma dumping is, I did say there's a thin line between the two, from someone who would be from like a sharer point of view. But most things that characterize trauma dumping can be very impulsive, can be very one-sided. And for one thing that really stands out the most for me is a lack of consent. So let me read the definition. Trauma dumping is the unsolicited, one-sided, and often overwhelming sharing of traumatic events or emotional distress with others, typically occurring at inappropriate times. So a traumatic event related to endometriosis could be how you were finally diagnosed, or like how you had to run around to get a really great diagnosis or an accurate diagnosis. Or another traumatic event could be a story of your surgery, or how you had to go through multiple surgeries, or it could be your experience in a past relationship, just like anything that caused you trauma and is not very, it's not like the typical growing up experience or the typical teenage experience, you know, like things that most people don't really relate to, because it is endometriosis, and that carries a lot of its own trauma. Or so another thing, so sharing of traumatic events, I gave a few examples, or emotional distress with others. So excuse me, having chronic illness can cause you a lot of distress. And so endometriosis is a full body disease. It doesn't just affect your body, it affects your pocket also. It affects your emotions, so your mental health could take a dip, and there could be certain aspects of your mental health being affected. And so if you got into, like, I don't know, a depressive state, or you were really isolating yourself during a specific time, and you just go on full throttle and you share that, that's really heavy stuff, you know. Versus, so like I said, a lack of consent or mutual exchange and boundary awareness. So you don't ask for consent, you don't set the tone, you just go in for the kill. That can be really overwhelming and heavy for the next person, especially because endometriosis isn't really like common. Most people don't know about it. I only found out about it after I was diagnosed. So you're coming in with so much information and such heavy things to someone who may not have heard of the illness before, someone who doesn't really understand. Like, it takes a long time to wrap your head around it. So it's not a thing of having just one single conversation. It's multiple conversations that need to be had for the said person to understand your experiences and what exactly you're going through, especially like a romantic partner. Your partner needs to get like the full picture, and you can't draw the full picture in one day. You can't fill them in through one conversation. It's too much, it's too heavy. We need bite-sized portions, you know what I mean? Not like trying to eat the whole thing, you know what I mean? So, you know how they say, if you want to eat an elephant, you need to eat it piece by piece. Exactly that. So vulnerability then is consensual, often involving checking if the other person has the capacity to listen. So it's a two-way dialogue. What really characterizes the difference between trauma dumping and vulnerability is consent, timing, and emotional safety. So like I said, consent, it's important to ask for consent. What that looks like is, for example, hey, can I share something a bit personal? Hey, do you have the capacity for me to share something very heavy? Hey, we haven't spoken about really intense things. Do you mind if I share something that I'm currently going through? Like, ask for permission. The same way for your friends, when you want to share something, when you want to vent. At least this is what I do. I don't just like go in. I always ask, do you have the capacity to listen to this? Because I don't know the kind of day my friend had. I don't know what's going on in their mind. I don't know like what's stressing them. So if I just go in there without asking for consent, I find that my friend doesn't have the capacity to deal with whatever it is that I'm sharing. The response isn't what I anticipated. It sucks, you know? So consent, consent, consent. It's not just when it's sexual things that are involved. Consent in communication, guys. That's like really important. So yeah, consent, timing. In the previous video, I mentioned how I always try to find like a gap for like how I can just bring in my story and how I'm sharing about the fact that like I'm struggling in whatever way or form. So timing, look at timing. Like, you can't be on a date with someone and things are going so well and you're not talking about heavy stuff and you just want to bring that in. Like I said, I wait for the conversation surrounding children to pop up. That's timing. That's how I gauge the situation, and I feel as though it's appropriate to talk about possibilities of children related to fertility and all of that stuff in relation to being diagnosed with endometriosis. It could be different for you. If you don't want children, that's possibly a conversation that you don't want to have, especially if you don't want children. It makes sense for me for you to date someone who also doesn't want children. So you could just find your way, your own in into bringing it up in a way that respects the atmosphere, that is cognizant of the mood. And I'm not saying, oh my gosh, if you share this information, it'll sour the mood. That's never think that. That should never be your fear. But you should also be cognizant of the fear that of the fact that the mood could tilt a little bit, depending on how the person reacts, depending on how well they deal with such news, depending on their level of sensitivity. Some people are more sensitive than others. So just check timing, guys. Just gauge it. Gauge like timing. Just check, what are we talking about? What's the mood? What's the conversation? You know what I mean? I can't give you like a formula because there is none. People are different, situations are different, but yeah, just think of timing. Like, if someone does something, like read the room basically. Someone does something and you're just like, the timing was off. Think of that, like when you're like envisioning how you're gonna do it. And emotional safety, I spoke about how you can gauge emotional safety in the previous video. It goes back to how your boundaries are being respected very early on. It goes back to red flags, it goes back to green flags. I'll talk about those in a separate video, but make sure the person who you are gonna share this information with is someone who respects you, someone who you feel emotionally safe with. It makes no sense to just share this with someone who doesn't care about your feelings, let alone what's going on in your body or your mind. You know what I mean? So yeah, But also, if you've been someone, if you like, from what I've said, you are reflecting and you're like, I possibly could have ruined that. I possibly could have overwhelmed this person in the past because I wasn't aware of the difference between between trauma dumping and vulnerability. Don't feel bad. We've all been there. We've all been there where you mention it and you're just like, my timing was a bit awful. He probably wasn't ready for that. And in my own experiences, I can remember a time when I also like trauma dumped. So when it comes to consent, like I said, I practice like asking for consent in friendships. Like, do you have the capacity for this? Can I share that? But it wasn't always like that. There have been times when I've just like I'll just go off. Like, I haven't spoken to one of my friends in like 2 days, and then I just, out of the blue, I just send a VN. Oh my gosh, yesterday I had a play. I was wherever. Oh my god, lasted for how many minutes? I don't have the capacity for this. And it was like such heavy stuff. Like, when you're sharing heavy stuff, you can't just do that. You can't just like go in for the kill, you know? So like now I practice that. I really ask for permission to, can like, it's like basically asking someone, can your shoulders carry this? Do you have anything in your hands to help me carry this? Instead of just handing the thing to someone, you know what I mean? Like, it's really kinder to do that, to ask for permission. And that's something that I didn't know, especially because, you know, when you're diagnosed and you're young and you're just navigating this whole thing of like how to show up for your friends, how to let them like be there for you. So also, I struggle with opening up. I used to struggle with opening up, but it hasn't been easy for me to ask for help or to share things that I'm struggling with. So I was just like, okay, if I share more, it'll show that I trust. It'll build mutual trust in my friendships. Not knowing that you have to also ask for consent. Like, it's not that thing, yeah, I told you this, I means I trust you. No, I need to also ask, can you handle whatever it is that I want to tell you? You know what I mean? So the thing of consent was also quite new to me, but I've been practicing it a lot, and it has really, really helped. And also, it helps with the reactions that you'll get. If you just go on a tangent and you just, out of the blue, you just tell someone about your day, or you're venting, especially when it comes to venting, and you don't ask for consent, you might not, sometimes people they can't hold space for whatever it is that you need. They probably don't have the time, or they're not in a good space to give you a really quality answer, or to be present and be there for you. And you're just like, oh my gosh, people don't care about me. Oh, she made it into a very minuscule thing. She minimized my experience, as it's probably not that. So also, when you're going into a conversation like this with a potential partner, think about that. Think about, like, what reaction are you looking for, and what have you done to really make what have you done to really make the space safe enough to make that reaction a possibility. Like, give someone a chance, you know what I mean? Like how you would give someone the benefit of the doubt, give someone a chance to really take to whatever it is that you're saying, right? And then, like, so also, like, um on the note of emotional safety, like I said, it's a learning game for all of us. I also remember there was a specific time when I was on a date, and we were talking about serious things. And I was like serious things did come up, but I was like, it was a date that was going like really well. It was going really well, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, we connect. This person really gets me. And then I was like, the thing with me, I just don't tell anyone that I have endometriosis. The irony is, I make videos on YouTube telling people that I have endometriosis. It's a bit of a weird thing. But personally, I don't just go up and tell everyone, hey, I've got, no. Especially like someone who I've just like started talking to. It's, no. So I was excited. The thing with me, I get excited. I'm a people person to some extent. So like when things are going well, I get excited, and then I share. Right? I'm not an oversharer, but like I connect through sharing. Like with one of my best friends, when we met, we just spoke. We go deep all the time when we speak, and when we met, we went deep into everything. Before I knew her favorite color, I knew what her childhood traumas were. So it was that type of thing where I was just like, yeah, things are going so well. Let me just say it. And then I was just like, whoa, because of the kind of person that I am, I don't just like to share whatever. That really saved me, because it didn't end up going anywhere. Like, it was a connection, but it wasn't deep enough, you know what I mean? So that's something that I learned. So taking the time to think about things before you do them really helps. When they say think before you speak, they actually mean think before you speak, and consider certain I don't know, consider certain things. the English is running out. Consider certain things, because sometimes you could be saving yourself from potential trauma and the response that you'll be getting, saving yourself from, like, I hate that thing of like someone walking away with my stuff. So if I share such a big part of my life with you and then it doesn't work out, now you've just gone on with all this information. That's not even bad information, but I don't need you to know me like that. I don't need you to know me like that, honestly. You know what I mean? So yeah. Sharing that you have um endometriosis or you're dealing with a chronic illness, it comes with like stories. Make sure that you create a safe space to share those stories. I've had so many stories about how I was ghosted by a gynae, about how I had to have multiple diagnoses, stories about times when I was like just like in a lot of pain, unable to sleep, a time where I collapsed, and my partner is only finding out about like a fraction of those stories now. Like, it's not something that you just go in sharing so soon. I find that a lot of people don't know about endometriosis. I said this before, I'll say it again. Most people only find out about it from like being diagnosed themselves or someone very close to them having other condition. Or if you like most guys, some guys, I don't know how many guys, but guys sometimes say, oh yeah, I dated someone with endometriosis. But most times it's either you were diagnosed yourself or it's a partner, a relative, a friend, you know? So you are coming in with a lot of information. So just try to break it down. Just break it down. Like I said, break it down. The stories will come. The stories are never fun. The stories are very traumatic. If you had a flare and you were driving, you had a flare in the middle of a lecture, you had a flare and you were going for an interview. One of my fears was having a flare on the day of my graduation. But for both graduations, none of that happened. Thank God. But you know what I mean? Like, it's very heavy, it's very painful. And if this is someone who cares about you, they have some sort of like sympathy towards you, it's not gonna be fun. It's not gonna be very like easy for them to digest. So like I said, just tread carefully. Be aware that they may not know as much as you know. Like with me, I'm only knowing, yeah, with me I only know so much because of my experiences over the years, the research that I've done, the spaces that I've been in that have taught me what I know, other bloggers and content creators who makes such content, you know what I mean? So you have to be in the community to know certain things. So also bear that in mind when you share the news. Bear that in mind that they might not know what you expect them to, or they might not know as much as you think they do. But yeah, just think of that, consider that. So don't feel bad. There's a bunch of reasons why people trauma dump. I'll list a few. It's not because you're a bad person. It just happens, you know. So like, for example, if you're talking to this person and like you feel like, oh my gosh, we're relating on so many topics. Oh my gosh, this person gets me. Like, you finally feel seen for the first time. It's very easy to be like, oh, actually. So before you like jump in and do that, check the atmosphere, check if the timing allows that, check if you guys have really gotten there. Don't get too excited and be like, okay, oh my gosh, he likes popcorn as well. Oh my gosh, he likes arcade dramas. Oh, he also, no, hold up. Really, just take a step back and ask yourself. But before I go on, I forgot to give a disclaimer, guys. This is just my opinion, and this is like information that makes sense to me. I'm sharing based off of my own experience, based off of research. So take whatever it is that I'm saying with a pinch of salt. This is not like, oh my gosh, it's factual or whatever. This is not like what comes from, like, it's not what comes from the Bible. It's not scripture or whatever. This is just Shuma on the internet, just giving her own 2 cents. So whatever it is that I'm saying, I could be wrong in certain aspects. Like I said, situations are different, people are different, and yeah. Anyway, so you finally feel seen and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, let me just say this. Hold up, girl. Wait. Then loneliness. Having a chronic illness can be very lonely and you feel like people don't relate to you. And finally, you find someone who's really like spending time with you. They're really filling in the gaps that you had in terms of companionship or spending time with someone. And you're just like, oh, okay, I'm not lonely anymore. Don't. Consent, timing, emotional safety. Anxiety in the sense that you are carrying this thing, right? Like, it's all you're thinking about. You're going into every day thinking of that. The dates are going well. You're getting worried, thinking, good, okay, when do I do it? Do I do it now? Now do I do it? Now do I do it? And then you feel so anxious and you just want to blurt it out. don't do that. Don't do that. It's not the right time. You think it's the right time? It's not. So anxiety can really push you into doing something that you're not ready for, or something that you haven't mentally prepared yourself for. So as much as you need to, the person you're sharing it with needs to mentally prepare themselves by you asking for consent and setting like the atmosphere so they know how to prepare for whatever's coming. You also need to mentally prepare yourself for their reaction. They might not give you a reaction that pleases you. They might give you a reaction that is very disappointing. So sometimes you think this is my person, and then they react in a very bad way, and that's not your person. So also, like, anxiety can really push you into doing those kinds of things. So just make sure that you're prepared. Prepare yourself so much to the point where you're not feeling forced to do it. Do it at your own time, at your own pace. Don't feel so like under pressure and rushed to do it, and let anxiety take over. And I'm not like trying to be insensitive. I know that anxiety is like, it's a mental thing, and it's not something that you can control, but you just need to pace yourself and just pace yourself to the best of your ability. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. This is a very anxiety inducing situation. Breaking such news is anxiety inducing. It's not easy, but just try to pace yourself, and remember you're in control of the conversation always. And then not having support elsewhere. This goes back to loneliness. If you feel like you don't have someone in your corner, that could really make you want to just share everything all at once, and wanting to be understood quickly. This goes back to anxiety and just trying to just get it out, just to form some sort of connection or whatever. So these are just a couple of examples of reasons why people tend to trauma dump. It's never, most times it's never intentional. So before you share that you have endometriosis with a potential partner, just think of these things. Ask yourself the reason why you're doing it. It is not easy dating with endometriosis. Don't get me wrong, I'm not implying that it is. It's not easy, but there are certain things that you also need to consider in the like, that you need to hold yourself accountable and need to be fair to the next person. It's not easy having endometriosis. Trust me, going into the dating pool, having this in your back pocket is extremely difficult. But you also need to think of the next person, not in a way that victimizes yourself or in a way that makes you feel like you're a problem, it's so difficult dating you, never that. But in a way that shows accountability and also shows empathy, because that's what we also expect from others, right? Yes. So yeah, trauma itself can really blur boundaries. So just make sure that even when you're sharing this kind of news, there are pauses. And it's a two-way thing. Like I read in the definition of vulnerability. You're not just like going on and on and on. Oh my gosh, this, that. No, you are allowing this person to react, to respond, to ask you questions in a way that is safe and feels good for the both of you. But that can only happen if you're talking to someone who has shown like emotional maturity and emotional intelligence. It's not always easy to tell. Sometimes you think someone is emotionally mature, you break the news to them, they make you feel like it's your problem, and oh my gosh, you asked for it, and that's really insane. So yeah, just make sure it's like a conversation. Breathe through it. Just make it a conversation. Allow for space for questions, for reactions, for like, sometimes you could feel like you are at like a damn interview and you're being asked all these serious questions. But most times I find that people ask a lot of questions in such instances, questions that are characterized by empathy, that can really help with understanding and form more interactions going forward, right? So a healthier way to share heavy things, I gave you a few examples. So this is based off of consent, asking, can I share something heavy? Do you have space for this? Do you mind if I tell you something about my personal life? I don't want to overwhelm you, but this is a part of my life. So like I said, small pauses, and also just giving like a little bit of a teaser into what you'll be sharing, so that the person has an idea and this whole thing doesn't come hard on them. Right. So I've given you definitions. Just remember that trauma dumping is characterized by being impulsive, unfiltered, one-sided. There is no consent. Vulnerability is consent-driven. There's a lot of consent. It's a two-way thing. There is space to breathe. Right. I know Valentine's Day can be very difficult for a lot of my Endo warriors, because it's not easy navigating dating or relationships when you have a chronic illness. So I hope that you don't feel pressure to perform. or feel pressure to go out there and date, feel pressure to do all of that. We're not on the same we're living different lives, we're not on the same page, we are not going through the same thing. Even fellow Endo warriors, my experiences could be different. My experience could be different to your experience, and that's really okay. So even in the spirit of the month of love, don't feel pressure to do things that you're not comfortable with doing. Don't feel pressure to tell someone you have endometriosis when you don't feel comfortable, when it doesn't feel right. When it feels right, it'll feel right. And yeah, it's always like based off of you. It's a personal thing, something that you need to decide for yourself. But I hope that as we are navigating these kinds of things, we can hold ourselves accountable. We can also show empathy to the next person. And as we have these conversations, it becomes easier. So if you have tips to share, please leave them in the comment section below. Or you can share them with me via my DMs on Instagram. And then I can make another video where I talk about this. Just let me know what you guys want to see. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you've gotten to this point of the video, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day, whatever. Be it whatever it is. I hope you're surrounded with love. I hope your community shows up for you. I hope you're having I hope your body is kinder to you and you're having a good day. I love you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
So many things are changing.